I'm about to just start a discussion that I don't really want to have. I think we need to. But first, coffee. It's a mess around here, but that's okay. And yes, I am wearing my pajama shorts during the day. You ever just have one of those days where you don't want to do anything, but you have to? That's me today. Okay, let's start this. Hey friends, it's Tess. This is Wander Wealthy, and today we're going to be talking about a complicated topic. Let's be real, it's not that complicated. It's not like very serious matter about life and death. It's just about home ownership, and specifically if you are looking to buy a home, how much house you can afford. Why am I not super thrilled to talk about this? Well, because it's just complicated. Like, literally the numbers are complicated, and I get really frustrated and angry with how simple people make it sound by throwing out various rules of thumb, basing everything off of your gross income. I think that it gives people this false hope or this false sense that they can afford way more expensive of a home than they actually can. And sometimes they go as far as actually purchasing that home, mortgaging it, and then not being able to make those payments, and then that home gets ripped out from under them. To me, this is doing a disservice to society. Also, it just makes people end up having to spend a lot of money on their home and spend a lot less money on saving for their future in an investment account that really can make potentially more than a home will make over their lifetime, and also just living a life that they love today. So today I wanted to paint a more realistic picture and give you a couple of rules of thumb that I think are more conservative but also more realistic and will keep you safe when you are going to make these big financial decisions. So I hope that you enjoy this, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell that is next to the subscribe button, because then you will be notified when I upload new videos, which I do on a weekly basis. All right, that's far and away enough of an introduction. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. And to be quite honest with you, this is not as organized of a video as I would like it to be, because I was doing all this research and prep beforehand, and I just getting more and more frustrated. So I just wanted to sit down and hit record and see what I could bring out. So let's do it. Okay, funny story, because this is actually a Zillow notebook. I didn't even realize that until now. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Zillow, but if they would like to, hey. So in doing some preparation for this video, I found a lot of kind of percentages of gross income that you should base your decision off of. And this really annoys me, just for the fact that everyone assumes that you can do percentage of your gross income. But what's the problem here? First of all, everyone pays different amount of taxes depending on which city and state that they live in. The other thing is that doesn't consider the fact that some people want to save in pre-tax benefits like an HSA or a retirement account. So if you're maximizing your 401k, whether you're hitting your employer's contribution limit or you're hitting the IRS's contribution limit, then if you decide to base your home purchase off of your gross income, the total amount that the employer said you would get paid before they take out all of the taxes and benefits, then you're definitely not going to be able to afford your place, because you've decided to mortgage way too much of a house, and now your mortgage payment is going to be way too much for the actual income you're getting deposited into your bank account. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments below if what I'm saying is making sense. So there's this rule of thumb that your mortgage payment, principal plus interest, shouldn't be more than 28% of your gross monthly salary. This tends to be a percentage that lenders will consider when they're considering giving you a home, but they're looking at your gross monthly salary. They're not looking at your net monthly salary. So they're not considering the fact that you have to pay taxes no matter what. And if you want to put money into your 401k, well, they don't care. They're going to give you a loan for way more than what you can afford. And although it is our responsibility as individuals to make the decision on the affordability of our mortgages, I still think that it gives people false hope. And for those who are less educated and don't watch videos like this, then don't realize that you can actually afford that. That's just what the lender is offering you, but it's not going to work out. Now, there's a second rule of thumb that says your total house payment, so the mortgage, the principal plus interest, your PMI, if you're paying private mortgage insurance on your mortgage, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, plus potentially your homeowner's dues, your HOA fees, those in total shouldn't be more than 32% of your gross income. If a lender is providing you a loan based off of your gross income, then you might be looking at more expensive houses. And the more expensive houses you look at, the more your property taxes are going to be. All of these total costs shouldn't be more than 32% of your gross income, but what is that when it gets down to a net income? If you're looking at someone who makes around $80,000, then if they don't put any money into a 401k, that could be as much as 45% of their net income that they're just spending on their home expenses. If they are putting money into their 401k and we're assuming that their employer offers them matching contributions up to 6% of their salary and they take full advantage of that, then that's as much as 47.5%-ish of their net income that they're paying in just these home ownership costs alone. Now, if you're looking at someone who makes around $50,000 or maybe even less, you're still looking at between 40 and 45% of their net income that's going towards this home cost. And by the way, these home ownership costs aren't considering maintenance and utilities and other things that go into your needs. And if you follow a 50-20-30 budgeting rule where 50% of your income should be going towards your needs alone, then you don't really have a lot of room to make other debt payments or buy groceries or get gas or do other things that are necessary for you to live month to month to month. Do you see how messed up this whole gross income percentage rule of thumb is? It just, to me, doesn't make any sense and gives a lot of us false hope and probably gets us into a lot of trouble. Now, there's a third rule of thumb that considers your total debt requirements. Basically, the total amount of debt that you are required to pay, including your mortgage, but all the other debt you might have in form of auto loans, credit card debt, student loans, and whatnot, the total amount of that should not exceed 40% of your gross income. Again, it's gross income. Why are we even talking about this anymore? Basically, lenders are determining to lend you money, and potentially if you take full advantage of that, if you take a house that is the maximum of what they're willing to lend you, then your total debt requirements, including also house expenses, will likely exceed 50% of your net salary. And now you don't have any money to save, to pay off more of your debt faster, or to spend on discretionary things, let alone a lot of your regular living expenses. So yeah, our system is a little broken, and a lot of the people that give financial advice are kind of basing it off of an inflated income. Okay, so now that I've talked about everything that's wrong with the system, here are the things that you can do to determine how much house you can afford. And I hate to say it, but it's not an easy percentage of your gross income. It's gonna be a little bit more work than that. And this is where the video gets hard to explain. But let's give it a go. Millionaires tend not to spend more than 25% of their gross income on living costs. Now, I'm not exactly sure what these living costs entail, but again, we're talking gross income here, so I've come up with my own number. If you want to be conservative, have a financially free future, then let's get a little bit more realistic. Remember that rule of thumb I talked about earlier where no more than 32% of your gross income should be going towards your total house payment? That's things like your mortgage, your property taxes, homeowner's insurance, your private mortgage insurance, homeowner's dues. Well, we're kind of going to use that, but in addition to those 5 things that I said, I also want you to consider adding on 1% of your home cost divided by 12, so that you're saving on a monthly basis to this account that is going to cover all of those maintenance fees that you're likely going to incur throughout the year. Okay, so I'm gonna say that the total of this per month should not exceed 35% of your net income. And your net income is what's coming into your bank account every single month. I wouldn't consider bonuses or expected promotions. I would look at your base salary, what you are guaranteed to make every year, because we can't make bets based off of income we don't know is certain to come in. You wanna make sure that your total home costs are no more than 35% of your net income. And you can somewhat easily back out of this to figure out how much of a mortgage you can afford, and thus how much of a home you can afford, depending on how much money you have saved for your down payment, which we talked about in the previous video. So really you want to use a mixture of this rule of thumb and breaking down all of those various pieces that go into that total housing expense and the whole down payment closing cost situation. Because if you can afford a house but you actually don't have the down payment saved and everything that you can cover in total for closing costs, then you're probably not ready to buy that house. But if you want to get started with all these calculations, then it's a great time to do so. Now this is why I was all hot and bothered about creating this video, because it's a little bit more difficult than just giving you some really basic terms and rules of thumb, but I guess that's what my money coaching is for. So if you are on the brink of trying to figure out how much house you can afford, or you're also just trying to get your financial life together, you can consider jumping on a call with me for money coaching or signing up for the money program and then getting 30 times 2 minutes of my time so that we can chat about this situation. So I will drop the link to the money program down in the description box below, with another link if you just want to hop on a discovery call and sign up for my money coaching, because this is something that I just don't think a really fast YouTube video can explain. But if I can figure it out someday, I will. But I wanted to make sure that I equipped you with at least the basic knowledge of what makes sense and what totally doesn't make sense, and then you can go from there. It does take a little bit of math and finagling and trial and error by looking at houses in a certain dollar range and then applying the math that you have now learned in this video. I hope in some way that this video was helpful to you. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you need clarification or you have more questions about buying a home, home ownership, whatever it is, then pop them in the comment section below, because I want to know how I can serve you here at Wander Wealthy. Don't forget to check out the money program or sign up for a discovery call for my one-on-one coaching down in the description box below. I will put the links. Subscribe to my channel, and before next time, I hope you wander wealthy. I'll see you later.